When men are surveyed about what makes a woman attractive or sexy, the number one trait they always mention is confidence. But number two is authenticity. Well, what is that? What's authenticity and how can you get some? That's what we're going to talk about on this episode of One-Derful Life. I'm Mary Dittman. I'm an award-winning business professor on the collegiate level and the creator of College on Fleek and One-Derful Life. One-Derful Life is my way of describing how it feels when you've made peace with being single. I know that there are plenty of women out there who prefer to be single, and they'll say like, I don't want a man, I don't want a relationship, but I'm not one of them. I want a man, I want a relationship. And I've always wanted to be married and have a family, but I'm well over 40 and that hasn't happened for me. And for a long time, that was really a source of sadness for me because my definition of a fulfilled life includes being a wife and a mother. But I got to the point where I said, look, the singleness isn't changing and I just want to be happy and I better figure out how to make peace with this and live a life that I really enjoy. And that's what One-Derful Life is about. It's not about you getting to a place where you hate men or you don't want a relationship. It's not about giving up and resigning yourself to a life alone. It's about really being happy and enjoying your life because that is what will attract your Mr. Right. But guess what? Even if he never shows up, you're going to be happy anyway. I'm in a couple of dating, I guess, support groups, if you will, on Facebook. Just kind of women helping each other out, navigating the ups and downs of dating. And one of my friends in the group posted something recently that said, oh, this man just asked me what I read. What should I say? And I was like, well, what do you read? Be truthful. A lot of times as women, it's very natural for us because community and connection is really woven into the fabric of our DNA. As women, that's how we are hardwired biologically for connection and for relationship. And that's why one of the things that men do complain about legit, and I think that they're right, is like, well, when we first started dating, she loved to hang out with me and my friends. She loved to go to the bar and watch a football game. She loved to sit and watch golf with me. Or she loved to go play golf or tennis. And now she doesn't want to do any of that. She's changed. And a lot of times they're right. Because frequently what we do as women is at the beginning of a relationship, we just want to be with him. And sure, yeah, you want to watch a game? Absolutely. And we do enjoy it because what we enjoy is having time with our guy. Well, then as the relationship develops, you're like, I don't want to watch football. And then sometimes you take it to the extreme and you're like, I don't want you watching it either. Not a good idea. But that's not really being authentic. And men value authenticity. In surveys where men are asked what makes a woman attractive, number one is always confidence. Number two is authenticity. Well, what is that? Authenticity is you're real. You're real in who you are in your personality. You are truthful. You're genuine. Now, you're not taking it to the extreme of just, I'm going to tell it like it is to where you're mean. That's not a turn on. But if you ever find yourself thinking, well, I wonder what I should say, I wonder what the right answer is, then you're not being authentic. And the reason men are attracted to authenticity is usually a woman who's authentic really does have the self-confidence because she's going to say like, well, I don't really want to watch football. You go ahead and watch football with your friends, but I'm not into it. And then he knows like, okay, cool. Like she doesn't want to watch football. She was upfront with me about that. And now I can make a decision. If I want to see her, we're not going to watch football. But if I really want to watch football, I can't be with her while I do it. And just a little kind of advanced spoiler alert. I'll tell you what I think a lot of guys would love is if he said, hey, so Thursday night, me and my buddies, we always like to meet down at the bar and watch the football game. Why don't you come with us? All the guys are bringing their girls. And if you were just like, I don't want to do that, you might say, you know what, babe, really not into it. You go, have a great time, tell everyone I said hey. I'm going to go to my yoga class, or like, I'm just going to chill out here and watch some TV. I'm totally not into it. Let's do something some other time. And then if he said, okay, well, I'm going to still go, you would be like, okay, cool. I'll see you later. Have fun. And you don't punish him later. Like, oh, he went without me because girl, you told him to go. So I'm guessing a lot of guys would love that. Now, if I'm wrong, guys, I know you watch. So if I'm off base here, put something in the comments. Let me know if I'm wrong. Another reason why men like women who are authentic is because authentic women are straight shooters. Okay, they're not game players. Here's playing a game. Sure, we can go watch football. I'd love to. And then you get there and you're pouting because he's watching the game and not talking to you. Or you start off with, I love football. And then 6 months later, you're like, I freaking hate football. I hate sports. Because that feels dishonest to men and like a game. You're playing a game. And while they do like sports games, they don't like relationship games. And listen, men respect when you're a straight shooter. Okay, so when you say, this is what I think, or this is what I want, and you're not all like overly emotional about it, and you just say, I'm really not into the football game, it's kind of not my jam. Now, if your feeling was, I don't want him to go, you might say, look, I really am not into football, that's not my jam. I was really hoping you and I could just do something, the two of us. But you also have to let him have the freedom that if he goes, well, I really want to go hang out with the guys and watch this game. Okay, now you have a decision to make. And you might say, okay, I'm bummed, I'm disappointed, but you know what? Go do your thing. I'm gonna go to a yoga class and, we'll see each other some other time. All right, so let's get into this authenticity thing a little bit more. But before we talk about what authenticity is, let's talk about what it is not. Authenticity is not about bombarding him with all of the truth right away. So sure, the truth might be that you came from an abusive childhood and you're a recovering alcoholic and your dad is in prison and you just lost your job and you have $50,000 in credit card debt. Yeah, those things might be true. Don't need to tell him that on the first date. A friend of mine was interviewing for jobs and he went on an interview. He really wanted the job and he came back and I was like, well, what happened? And he goes, well, I don't think I'm going to get it. And I said, well, what happened? Because he has great experience. I was like, why? What's up? And he goes, well, I'm honest. And I told him in the interview that, I'm an alcoholic and I got fired from my last job for drinking, but I've been sober for 6 months and I'm ready to come back and work hard. And I was like, ruh-roh. Okay. Anyone who hears I'm an alcoholic and I was fired from my last job for drinking, but I've been sober for 6 months, that's a huge red flag. And listen, I'm not knocking people who are in recovery, okay? But what I am saying is that to people who are not in recovery, 6 months of sobriety is kind of like, ruh-roh, red flag. Which isn't to say that you wouldn't at some point reveal that, but on the first interview is not the place to do it. I was like, yeah, no kidding. They're not going to call you. So ladies, you don't need to do that like first date. Authentic and real and genuine is not about like, I'm just going to let it all hang out and let him know right up front where I'm coming from. Like, you're going to scare the poor man away. And I've heard different dating coaches who will say, you better let him know on date one what your expectations are. My experience has been if you look at a man on a first date and are like, yeah, I want to get married and have 3 kids. And I'm getting older, so, I don't want to waste time. Even for a man who wants to get married and wants to have a family, that is going to scare him because he's going to feel like he's in your crosshairs and you're just hunting him. Now, guys, again, if I am mistaken, put it in the comments. Let me know. Straighten me out. Authenticity is not being rude, okay, or being mean. So if your idea of being authentic and genuine is, this guy says, hey, I'd really like to take you to dinner sometime. And you say, okay, but let me tell you something. I am not looking for another cheater. I am not looking for another guy who lives on his mom's couch. And like, sometimes when you bombard men with, what you're not going to put up with and what they had better do, well, that usually makes them feel like they've already done something wrong. And all they're doing is just asking you out to dinner or asking you to get a cup of coffee. They're just trying to get to know you, and you're already jumping on them for like what you are and are not going to tolerate. Also, authentic does not mean angry. And if you're authentically angry, then you need to get that dealt with and cleaned up before you try to find a man. All right, so that's what authentic is not. Let's talk about what would it be, or what would it look like to be authentic. All right, so you're truthful, but you're also mysterious. Thinking about my friend in the dating group, I mean, if the only thing you read is your social media news feed, that might be a problem. Now listen, men normally have a good reason, at least in their own mind. They have a reason behind everything that they do. Okay, women, we don't always have a reason. So why are we going shopping? Just fun, because I have time. I don't know, I'm bored. Why does a man go shopping? Because he needs a blue shirt. Okay, I am going to just kind of guess, why would this man be asking what has she read lately, or what does she like to read? Let's go with question number one, which is he hates reading and he's afraid if she's a big reader that she won't like him. Okay, I doubt that that's it, but that's possible. I think the more likely scenario is that he reads and he's wanting to find out, does she like to read? What are her interests? What would they have in common maybe that they could talk about? So when the answer is, what should I say? Don't say what you think he wants to hear. Be honest. And by the way, ladies, if you're over the age of 40, and that's generous, okay? I would actually put the age a little bit lower, but my primary audience is women over 40. So ladies, at our age, you ought to be informed on something other than the Kardashians and what the Real Housewives are doing. What teams are in the playoffs? What's your opinion on the latest political issues? Do you keep up with local news? What's going on in your community? At our age, when you say things like, I don't care about sports, or I really don't keep up with politics, it's all so negative, that's ridiculous. You don't have to be an expert on sports. You don't have to be a political commentator. You don't need to get into a big debate on politics. Again, you want to be authentic, but you need to be informed. You want to have something to converse about. Men don't really want to sit there and talk about what you found at the mall and the gossip from E! News. And you want to be a woman of character. Men over 40, yeah, they need to be physically attracted to you. So the way you look will attract him, but what will keep him is your character. So you need to have a little bit deeper character than just what you're binging on Netflix and what the Royals are doing. And you want to be a developed, well-rounded person. For me personally, no, I don't keep up with every single sport, but I read the sports page and I pay attention. What sports are currently in season and what's the big news, what's going on. So now, have I been watching, for example, right now as I'm filming this, it's the NBA Finals. Have I been watching those games? No, but I know the two teams who are in the playoffs. If all you read, for example, is just trashy novels and books on how to get a man, you maybe don't want to say that on the first date or ever. But what you might say is you like to read escapist fiction or personal development, and then get him talking about what he likes to read. Be real about what you want. Now again, I've talked to many dating coaches who say things like, well, you want to kind of this idea of be mysterious, so you don't ever want to let a man know if you're interested in him, you want to be aloof. And I see the value in that you don't want to sit down on date one and go, I'm looking to get married. Because then most guys just feel like they're a slab of meat and you're just looking to pick one. And by the way, I've been on the receiving end of that, where I've been out with men who are like, I just want to get married. And then you start to feel like they don't care about me as a person. They have a wedding dress and they just need the girl to fit in it. And I think that's how men feel. And a lot of times the coaches will say, just when they ask you, what are you looking for? You should say, I don't know, I haven't really thought about it. Because you don't want to scare a man away because he would think that you want commitment. Well, men know that women want commitment. And here's the other thing. Men also want commitment. They don't want to be trapped though. And they don't want to feel like they're getting married on the first date. So when you sit there and say, well, I want to get married. So do you want to get married? Because I don't want to waste my time. I don't want to waste a year on someone who doesn't want to get married. Well, he doesn't know if he's going to want to marry you. It's the first date. So now what is he going to do? Either he has to say, yeah, I want to get married, and he's constantly feeling like rut-row, or he's going to say, no, I don't want to get married, because he's feeling trapped and the salad hasn't even arrived yet. My experience, like with online dating, for example, you can check the box, what are you looking for? And when I was doing online dating and I would check the box like casual dating or I don't really know, I got a lot of men who just wanted to hook up. So when I got honest about, I would check long-term relationship, marriage, that would filter out a lot of those guys. So when you just say, I don't know, I'm just looking to meet some new people and have fun, a lot of guys hear, oh, she's just looking for something casual. She's available to hook up. What you could say is, well, I am looking for a long-term committed relationship. And then if he says, well, do you want to get married? You could say, well, if it's the right person. And then he can decide if he wants to proceed. Okay, but you're not saying like, well, if you don't want to get married, you better tell me right now so I don't waste any time. I mean, a lot of guys right there will be like, shoot, I don't want her to get up and leave right now. So he might say, well, sure, yeah, I'm interested in marriage. And then he's not. So now he's being disingenuous and he knows it. And then he's going to ghost on you. Or number two, he says, no, I'm not. But why? Why? You don't know if you want to marry this guy. He doesn't know if he wants to marry you. Just don't be that authentic. And then, yeah, be authentic about what you don't want as well. Now, again, I'm not talking about on the first phone call or the first date where you say, well, I don't want to be with a man who only plays golf. I don't want to be with someone who blah, blah, blah. That's not what I'm talking about. But I'm saying be real and be genuine. Don't make him guess all the time what you want. So for example, here's a good way to handle something. I'm not a huge Mexican food fan, okay? I mean, it's okay, but I don't feel well when I eat it. So if a guy says to me, hey, I'd love to take you to dinner, let's go get Mexican food. 99% of the time, unless I just really have a hankering for it, most of the time I'll say, you know what? I really don't love Mexican food. Okay, then I'll just stop. Guess what? Men are problem solvers. He'll find something else. A lot of times then he might say, oh, okay, well, how about Italian? Or do you like sushi? Or do you like steaks? And if you say like, well, I like Italian, not a big steak fan, but I like Italian and sushi. Okay, then he's got something to work with, but you're authentic. Don't say, sure, Mexican is fine. And then you go and you're like, I'll just have a salad or I'll just have some water because I really don't like Mexican food. I mean, you're just setting him up to feel bad. If he asks you to go away for a weekend and you're not ready for that, then don't play like, I don't know, I'm not sure, and look like Bambi in the crosshairs. Sometimes men have a hard time understanding what women are saying because we're not saying anything. So if he says, hey babe, I'd really like to take you away this weekend. If you're just not ready for that, look at him and say, you know what? I'm really not ready for that. And maybe you could say, I'd like to do that at some point, but I'm really not ready for that. Be honest with him. And again, authenticity is not like, well, I'm not going away with you for the weekend because I know what you're looking for. Don't be a jerk. You don't know what he's looking for. Okay, well, if he's asking you to go away for the weekend, there might be some expectations there. Sorry, guys, we just got to be fair. But saying, hey, I'm really enjoying getting to know you, but I'm not ready for a weekend together yet. And listen, if a guy really likes you and he's really interested in you, he'll be like, okay, cool, no, it's fine. Let's go to dinner, or let's go see a movie. But be authentic and be truthful. Men respect that because then they know what they're dealing with. Part of having a wonderful life is being authentic because that way you can relax. And instead of trying to figure out, well, what should I say? What does he want to hear? What's the right answer? Men aren't usually trying to ask you some trick question. Okay, they're not like women where, we'll give you some verbal test to kind of suss you out. Men are just asking you questions to get to know you. So don't, what's the right answer? What does he want to hear? Be authentic, be mysterious, but be genuine. And see, that way you're not in your head figuring out like, what should I say? What should I say? What should I say? You're just like, you're being real. You're being honest. Like, if you ask me what I read, I don't have to like, what should I say? I can tell you, I read a lot of business development books, and I like to read a lot of personal development books and books on communication. I also read 2 newspapers every day. I'm a voracious reader. I like to read. Okay, I'm not worried about it. And listen, if I was talking to a guy who said, "Well, I really don't want to be with someone who reads books on personal development. What is that? Self-help? I don't. That's not cool." Okay, we're probably not going to be a good fit. By the way, it's not called self-help anymore. It's called personal development. If you're going through a breakup, it can be really hard to be authentic and feel confident. And if that's you, then you might want to check out our ABCs of Healing. It's a free program where I show you how to get over a broken heart. And you can go to bit.ly/ABCs of Healing and check that out. We'll send it right to you immediately. You might want to go to One-Derful.com. We post a new blog there every Friday. You may want to join our newsletter list, and we have some really cute merchandise for you. And One-Derful Life is a dialogue, not a monologue, and we want to hear from you. What do you think about being authentic? Also, put in the comments and let us know what you're struggling with in your singleness so that we can create content that will help you. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on One-Derful Life.